Today I'm going to fit a network socket. It's going to have two network ports on the socket, and this is the equipment and bits and pieces I'll be using. So I've got a media socket and then some network ports that I'll be slotting into this media socket. A few tools that I'll need: Stanley knife, pliers, and a screwdriver. It's a flathead, and then a couple of network tools. So this will be a cable tester to make sure it's wired up correct, and then a couple of network tools to get the cable into place. Network cable, Cat5e to test after. A cheat sheet here that I printed out on the internet. I'm going to use the B configuration. After looking around on the internet, it seems that the standard that everyone uses seems to be B, and that seems to be in the UK and America, so I'm going to be using that. And then my network cables, which are already fitted into a back box. So I'm going to cut those down to size and fit those. So I've got my network cable. I'm just going to go an inch or so down the cable, and I'm going to score along it. And then I'm going to twist and pull it off. Now that's exposed the cable, and it's exposed a bit of string gear as well. So I'm just going to twist that piece of string. Now the idea is supposed to be you expose this piece of string and then you can pull it down the cable. It can be quite difficult to do without breaking the string. So you pull it down just a couple of inches, so you can see I've exposed all this piece of cable now. Might also help to have a pair of these, and you snip off all the outer bit of cable, the sheath, snip off the string. So now you're left with four pairs of wires. So what you want to do is untwist these pairs. So this is the blue, and it's a solid blue, and then a blue and white stripes. So I've untwisted those, and then I'm just going to straighten them out. And I want to do that for these other three pairs as well. Okay, so I've straightened all the cables out, and they conform to this B standard. As you can see there, it's starting with orange and white stripes, and then solid orange. If I look on my network module here, this is the rear of it. So you can see the B standard is the left hand column in this 1, 2, 3, 6 row. So there you can see that one will need orange and white stripes, and then 2 will need solid orange. Whereas if I was going for the A standard, it would be green and white stripes and then solid green in 2. But we're going to stick with B here. So what I now need to do is place all of these cables into the correct little numbers here on the module. So what we're going to do now, on both sides of this network module, we're going to fix the cables into place. You can see the orange and green ones I've already done, they're already fixed into place. So what I'm going to do with this other side now is I'm going to take the solid brown wire, just going to wrap that over again, then I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to line it up so this grey bit is on the inside and the black bit with the little fork is on the outside. So I'm going to place it inside there and I'm going to push down till it clicks. Now what that has done is it's broke off the end of the cable and it's fixed the dark brown cable in place and it's locked onto the little blade inside. So I'm then going to repeat that process for the brown and white. This tool is pretty much the same thing, although it's just a cheaper version. It doesn't sort of punch down in place and it doesn't strip the remaining cable off the end. So what it will do is, if I stick that in there, punch the cable into place, it's a bit fiddly, so the cable has gone down in place. No, not quite. So try that again. Now the cable has gone in place, but you can see it doesn't cut the end off. So I'd then have to snip the end off myself. Now just fix the solid blue in place. So there you go, that's all of those in place now. I'm just going to pull this cable tie into place to keep the cables there. Now that's the module ready to go. Now if I take the media bay for it, you can see that I just pull it through and it clicks into place, and then the second one will slot in here and they'll be flush. Both network sockets are now in place, or the modules on the faceplate, and all that's left to do is stick the cable down the conduit and attach to the wall. Okay, so for the purposes of testing, I'm just going to go through the process. So this is just a cheap cable tester designed for phone and internet. So you remove one part, one goes on one end of the cable while the other goes on the other end of the cable, and then there's a sequence of lights that it runs down. And as long as these lights are matching up all the way down, you can tell that it's all wired up correctly. So what I'm going to do is plug in one, then plug in the other. The reason I'm doing this just with a cable is because it's quite difficult to demonstrate one of the actual network sockets working correctly, because my network switch is downstairs while my network socket is upstairs. So normally to test a finished network socket, I'll get somebody to stand downstairs and hold this end while I'll be upstairs with this end, and I'll plug into a network socket, and then I'll shout down to the other person to check that these numbers are lined up at the correct time. But at the moment, I'll just stick a cable that I know is working in each end, and when I turn on, we can see it going through the sequence of lights. And then there's also a slow mode if it works correctly. So just from that, I can see that this cable, both ends of this cable, are wired up correctly. So when I come to test on a network port, I'll do the same sort of process, and as long as all the lights are lit up correctly, I know that I've wired both ends the same as each other. And that's basically all you need to do for the testing.